Welcome to this video on troubleshooting in Agent Studio. Today, we'll learn to use the log app to identify and fix issues with our plugins. By the end of this video, you should be able to effectively use the log app, understand different log types, know how to handle common errors, and know where to seek help when needed. The log app is your go-to tool for troubleshooting in Agent Studio, showing detailed records of plugin activity to help you spot issues like failed triggers or API errors. This table summarizes the key log types, what they represent, and important attributes to check, and how they can be used in debugging. These are some of the most common errors you might encounter in the Agent Studio app. Let's look at each one and how to resolve them. Error 12911 basically says if you try to delete a certain use case, for example, a plugin or an action, it's basically telling you that the item is referenced elsewhere. So you might have to delete an action before you're able to delete the process, or delete the process before you delete the action. Error 13005 tells you that you have an error with your Moveworks DSL syntax. There's also general errors that you might need to contact the Moveworks support team to provide you with better support. And error 13121 tells you for your namings, use only lowercase, uppercase, or underscores in the field names. When you're stuck, these resources can help. Start with the guides, then check the community, and if all else fails, contact our support team. Let's walk through a demo on the log app. So let's head to the log app. I'm in the log app, and in this case, it shows me that in the last 6 hours, there haven't been any logs. So I'm gonna go ahead and check the last 7 days. You can also filter plugins by the root UUID. So you can see the UID here. So if I only want to see this plugin, I can go ahead and check J25, apply, and it'll only provide me the logs for that root UUID. You can also check for the requester. For example, the person that ran the logs. In this case, I'm going to check Steve. So I only want to see plugins that have been run by him. You can also check the plugins themselves. So you can filter by the plugins that are created, the type of level, log level as well, the log type, and also the response code. So we don't need many filters at this time, but I want to go over this case test that this user Steve has been running. So this is our development environment. So these are there might be a lot of errors or not very normal cases compared to your production plugins. But you can see for this plugin, I can see the UUID is the same across. So I know this is one plugin here. So just to make it easier, let's just use that UUID. Now I can see that this plugin only had 5 steps. So DM user message, which is the message the user sent. In this case, we don't provide that, that's obfuscated, but we also provide you with a plugins path filter. It basically gives you a list of the plugins that may have been triggered for it. Now we can see the conversational process execute. So this means that the conversational process is executing. And it also shows you if any logs have been collected. In this case, this plugin didn't have any logs, but if they did, it will show you the slots that have been collected by the process. And then I see that the process is executing. So this might be the first step. In this case, it has some updates. Let's go check. And there's a decision policy in this plugin. So basically what it's saying here is that there was a decision policy and it chose to use the first case. Cool. Now let's go to the next step and see what it says here. So every time you check conversational process steps, you want to go to your execution updates. And I'm going to see that it has an activity update and it's at the output. You successfully passed the test meta info. So I assume he had maybe a content activity here that just sent a message like this, because I don't see any HTTP action triggers. And then let's look at the message. So this is basically the message that the AI assistant is sending a user. So it's right here. So it translated his content activity to this message instead. Let's see if we can find maybe an HTTP action activity somewhere. So if I go to custom, I can also have a different kind of timestamp here. I'm gonna check the last 14 days. And let's see. So this plugin that from Steve, he has several steps, and I'm looking at this one. He sends a message, the conversational process executes, and it actually has a slot here. So we can see that he has a slot name, call name, and it has a value, which is Steve test, and the result value is this. Then if I go up, see that he uses a compound action here. So compound action takes in that log. There's no progress updates. We have statuses. It says that it's pending. And then we see that a trigger is happening here. So basically, This is an action being called. So basically he called Salesforce with his data, and then you have a response payload here, and you can see the response of the action. He actually retrieved 0 records for Steve. Cool. And then if we go next, we see the execute message. It probably is using the data from the action. It says here in the result 0, so nothing. Let's look at next. What happens here? He actually got nothing on his return value. And then let's see what the assistant said. So basically the assistant told him that the action was completed, but there's no available contact information because as we saw earlier in the HTTP action, there's no results. So basically the assistant told Steve, hey, there's no results, so feel free to search for something else or ask for any other help. And that's how you use the logs to troubleshoot your plugins. We covered a lot today. Remember, practice makes perfect. Try using the log app to investigate any recent plugin issues you've had. And don't forget to check the documentation and leverage our community for more in-depth information and help. Keep up the good work, and thanks for watching.